Hi there, welcome to you. Thank you for joining the live chat. Let me welcome the participants. Robert Hele, first viewer who commented. Welcome, Robert. He says, I can't believe I was notified this time, this early. Well, you never know how YouTube is going to behave, to be honest. Their notification sending procedure is uh, not transparent. We don't know how they do it. Simon says, hello, Sajid, Sanjay, and Sajidov. Good day to you. Welcome, Simon. Jacob Jericho is waking me up. Thank you, Jacob. Maya Shakur here. Welcome, Maya. Ehsan join. Simon says, hopefully, this American delegation is there to advise Abiy on how to remove Eritrea from the region. Well, is this the purpose of the visit of the American delegation? MRDACUS says, peace, peace. Robert Ellis says, does Jula speak English to communicate with the US delegation? Well, that's not perhaps relevant because some leaders don't speak English, even if they know how to speak. They prefer their language, their local language. This is what should happen, by the way. People should promote their own languages, especially in such dealings. By the way, fluency in English is not a proof of your abilities, or it's not a credential. It's just a skill. I mean, uh, if a man can speak more than one language, uh, it should be appreciated, but it's not the sole proof of a man's capabilities and intelligence, I think. So, firstly, we'll talk about General Rashid Ibrahim, Brigadier General Rashid Ibrahim. Has he really joined Fano? What are Fano activists are claiming? Secondly, uh, and they, Gabriel Johannes says, why are you always trying to demonize the people and government of Eritrea? You see, I haven't said a word about Eritrea so far, and he's written this comment. So some people come with premeditated comments and they generalize. You are anti-Eritrea, you are anti-Ethiopian people, you are anti-peace, you're anti-prosperity. What can I do? Always be specific. Don't level such allegations. Don't generalize. Always pinpoint. Always mention a specific thing if you want me to respond. Otherwise, I can say you are lying. Finished. So let's be specific. Let's not generalize. So, what are Fano sources saying about Rashid Ibrahim, Brigadier General? And secondly, why was the US military delegation in Ethiopia? And interestingly, Ethiopian military posted a statement on its social media page after Jula met with the American generals. Simon says, don't forget, yesterday you said Egypt is an American proxy. Are you now saying America is playing both sides? I haven't said anything about this visit so far. Let me speak. Yes, Middle Eastern countries, Egypt too. I see them as American proxies, or they just implement American agenda. They cannot say no to US leaders. Abraham says Fano cannot be strong, even all Amhara generals join them. What is the basis of this conclusion that you have drawn, Abraham? If all channels, Amhara channels, ENDF join Fano, Fano won't be strong. What made you draw this conclusion, by the way? Just because you don't want Fano to be strong? First Light says America always plays for itself. Yeah, that's the right, I think, perspective. Americans know how to protect their interests. They never go against their interests. So they have no friendship, they have no alliance, they have no regard for human rights situation. They use all these things just to protect their interests abroad. Let's talk about the General Rashid Ibrahim, Brigadier General of the Ethiopian National Defense Force. Has he joined Fano or not? What are Fano spokesperson saying? Well, now Fano spokespersons, Fano backed sources are openly saying that the general Rashid Ibrahim is missing. So, two types of reports are being shared. Mash Sihai Gujjam Fano commander said that the general uh, has disappeared, that he has betrayed the Ethiopian National Defense. He's defected, rather. He said he has defected ENDF, and he said he'll share more details. So, one group of Fano sources is saying that the general has only defected ENDF. He went missing with dozens of fighters and some heavy weapons. Others are saying that the general has defected and he has joined Fano, but he is being kept at a safe location, and soon evidence will be shared. No rebuttal from the Ethiopian military so far, no rebuttal from Ethiopian military backed activists. You know that military backed activists are very active in social media. On all social media platforms, these activists are busy. They have hundreds of thousands of followers, by the way. They are paid by Ethiopian military, they are backed by Ethiopian military. Military uses them to promote particular narratives about issues. All these activists are silent. They are just sharing the yesterday's report about a Fano fighter who was involved in a heinous crime in Wollo. But they haven't said a word so far about General Rashid Ibrahim. By the way, if General Rashid Ibrahim joins Fano, it will be a huge development. Why? Because for the last 2 years, in, since 2023, you can say, Fano fighters have been trying to penetrate the Ethiopian National Defense Force. They've been trying to contact Amhara channels of ENDF to join Fano, and they could not succeed. They recorded not a single gain. Uh, those who joined them are mid level or lower level former military officers. No high ranking serving military officer has joined Fano. That is why I think we should not just uh, dismiss the report about the channel. So far, Fano sources are confident that the channel is no more part of the Ethiopian military. Let's wait for a few hours. Hopefully, in coming hours, things will be clear. Fano did make some outlandish claims in the past. They exaggerated a lot in the past. Some pro-Fano sources and activists, they made up stories about killing channels, about attacking helicopters, about hitting tanks. They made up all these stories in the past. We know that. But this time they're confident, I think. This time their official spokespersons are mentioning that the general has defected ENDF. That is why maybe something big is in the pipeline which could come out in coming hours. Will Fano join the SIMDO? Someone is saying, as if it's not part of the SIMDO. Anyway, secondly, viewers, a US Africa Command General, in fact, delegation of US Africa Command visited Ethiopia today. General Dagwin Anderson and others, they visited Addis Ababa today. General, he is the American general, met with PM Abiy, he met with Berhane Jula, the field marshal of the Ethiopian military. Interesting, after these meetings, Ethiopian military issued a statement on its social media page. That statement is interesting. What is the military saying? Well, General Jula and the Ethiopian military are linking the meeting between General Dagwin of US Africa Command and Ethiopian leaders to Ethiopian case for the sea access. Ethiopian military says that in the meeting between the field marshal and the American general agreed that Ethiopia should have access to the Red Sea, but through peaceful means. Firstly. Secondly, the Ethiopian military claims that the general said that Ethiopian presence on the Red Sea can help stabilize the Red Sea. Ethiopia can play a role in maintaining and promoting peace and stability across the Red Sea. These are very big statements which are being attributed to American channels. And thirdly, the military, Ethiopian military says that the American delegation has promised that it will talk to the US government and share Ethiopian concerns and Ethiopian interest in playing an active role in stabilizing the Horn of Africa and the Red Sea. Basically, Jula-led Ethiopian military is saying that American military has agreed to Ethiopian sea access case. You know that those who oppose Ethiopian case for sea access, they say that non-littoral states cannot have sea access. This is what Egypt says. This is what Eritrea says, that Ethiopian military presence on Red Sea is unacceptable. I tried to find a statement issued by US Africa Command. I could not find a statement, by the way. Has any one of you seen a statement issued by US Africa Command? Did US Africa Command issue a statement? Did it back Ethiopian case for sea access and Ethiopian role to create stability in the Red Sea? I could not find a statement, but if you have seen a statement, do share it with me. Uh, Secondly, the Ethiopian media is claiming that Kenya has agreed to give Seagate to Uganda. You know that Ugandan president a few days ago released a very fiery message demanding sea access through Kenya. Then Ruto delivered a speech, balanced speech, but Ruto never said that Uganda can have ownership of a port in Kenya. But Ethiopian media is twisting the words of Kenyan President William Ruto as if Kenya has agreed to give full sea access to Uganda. No, it has not happened. Ethiopian state media is twisting the words of William Ruto, Kenyan president, and Ethiopian military, Ethiopian state media. They are twisting the contents of the meeting between the American military delegation and General Birhanu Jula. Statement is being attributed to the American US Africa Command, which has not been released by US Africa Command so far. Yes, uh, Ethiopia is American security partner because the two are jointly fighting Al Shabaab, and Ethiopia can play a role, limited role in Sudanese civil war too. US wants to end this war. So Ethiopian military support matters for the US. But to say that US has agreed to Ethiopian presence, military presence on Red Sea is an exaggeration, not true unless confirmed by the US government. Simon said, is it possible that the Americans said it should be peaceful so that not to contradict the policy with Egypt? Well, Egypt is saying whether peaceful or non peaceful, no littoral state cannot have access to sea. It's not being a case of it's not a case of being peaceful or not peaceful. Egypt says Ethiopian military presence is unacceptable on Red Sea. It's not a question of being peaceful or non-peaceful. So US is saying, according to Ethiopian military, that peaceful access to sea for Ethiopia is acceptable. And in fact, US is welcoming it. Fair now has asked question not related though to the topic. He said, do you think TPLF will gain a support from Tigray people if they start the war? Well, there is no appetite for war in Tigray. Humanitarian situation in Tigray is not favorable for war. People are sick of war. They are just recovering from the war which ended 3 years ago. Welcome, DSG. A member has joined. Special welcome. no one wants to fight in Tigray. Situation in Tigray is very alarming, by the way. Schools are being closed because the government has no budget to pay salaries to employees, to school teachers. Fuel is not available freely. Transport fares have risen. Prices of thank you, Masawa. Prices of daily use items have gone up, and no solution seems to be in sight. So people are, to be honest, disappointed. They are not charged and excited and convinced to start a war. But if TPLF and Tigray generals start a war, what will people do? They'll have no option but to fight. DSG says policy statements are usually not made by the US military, it's not their domain. Well, let's see. The statement which Ethiopian military is attributing to US Africa Command channels should be rejected or accepted by American military or American State Department. Interesting take by First Light. He says Egypt only cares about GERD. Red Sea is only being used to pressure Ethiopia about GERD. So what you're saying is that if Ethiopia signs a deal with Egypt about GERD, Egypt won't object to Ethiopian access to the sea. It's 25 minutes past. Let's end the live chat. Let's wait for a statement from US military, US State Department about delegation's visit of Ethiopia. Does US support Ethiopian military access to the Red Sea, peaceful or by force? And secondly, will Rashid Ibrahim, Brigadier General of ENDF, appear in coming hours in the custody of Fano? Let's wait. Thanks for watching. Stay blessed. I'll be back tomorrow. Till then, bye bye. Super.